speaker is a real life young person, of which there's quite a few in the room. So for those of you that are under 25, if you want to put your wishes in the side, and we'll have a section for the rest of us later. I would like to really give a warm welcome to somebody who we probably, if you're on Twitter, you'll have seen quite a lot of, but she is one of the movers and shakers of the future. I hope she doesn't mind me saying so. Please welcome the lovely Zara Clench.
Legend.
Thank you. So hello, I'm Zara. I'm studying social work at Cardiff Metropolitan University, and I'm in my first year. So I kind of just want to talk to you about, you know, what this year's kind of been like, you know, applying to university and completing my first term. So as well, for everyone, this year's been kind of crazy, and you know, it's just been an absolute whirlwind of just craziness I don't think anyone could have imagined. So it's been crazy from, you know, applying to university to the interviews and then to results day and then to where obviously I am now. So originally I applied to defer. I didn't want to actually go to university this year to start off with. I was going to work this year. But then I found out quickly that social work actually doesn't, or the ones that I applied to didn't accept defer. So unfortunately 2 just kind of rejected me straight out. But then 3 got back to me and said that they'd be happy to accept me for this year if well, not accept me, but consider my application for this year. So I decided to chuck myself in the deep end and apply this year instead. So I ended up getting interviewed, luckily for those 3. But by this time, I only had time to have 1 face-to-face interview before COVID hit. So 2 of my interviews were actually online, which was quite an unusual experience because the university that I ended up going to, I'd never actually seen in person. I'd never visited. So that was quite a crazy, you know, thing to do. And then obviously I remember being in college and the teachers would be telling us, oh, we'll be back in 3 weeks. You know, everyone thought that, you know, it wouldn't really last long. Obviously, I never went back to college. I remember I actually visited last week. It was so weird to know that I'm no longer a college student. And it was just, I think it was a very nerve-wracking time for so many students because we didn't know what was going to happen to exams and what would happen. So I was definitely very worried come results day. But luckily I got in with better grades than I'd actually expected. So that was very positive. And the next week, well, the next months were just absolute chaos of, you know, making sure I had all my uni stuff, raiding my foster mother's cupboards of all her pots and pans, which gave her an excuse to buy a completely new set, which she has done. And the first term, obviously, it's been a completely different kind of experience. And it's had its ups and it's had its downs. The same as probably every year, but it's been kind of crazy. And I've had the ability to admit that I've struggled at university since joining. You know, like making friends isn't as easy, obviously, because you don't have like the societies as much. And I've kind of struggled in a way with the thought of, you know, fitting in, because I know a lot of uni students, you know, like to party, like to drink, and I more keep myself to myself. I'm a bit quieter. At home, I'm known as the loud one, but at the flat, I'm known as like the quietest one. But on a positive note, my course is what keeps me going. Like I have such a passion for social work, and just learning all the things has been really good. And joining to my just book collection, I've become a very big book person. So I'm gutted now because I'm back at home. I've left all my books at university, and I should have brought a couple back with me, but I just didn't. And so obviously just before Christmas, I handed in my first assignment, which was quite I don't know, it felt very real when I pressed the submit button on my first assignment, which was all about social exclusion and poverty and discrimination, which was within the Welsh context. So the last little bit I want to talk about was what inspired me to become a social worker. And that was, so as I said earlier quickly, I was actually in care from the age of 13. And throughout the time, I've had many different social workers. But one social worker in particular really made a difference to my life. And I have since told her that, and it was lovely. But she went above and beyond when I really needed her. So she's one of my main inspirations, as well as another person. And so I've been involved in events within my local authority, and I wanted to give back. And so that's why I want to help other young people. And I can't wait for term 2. But yeah, sorry, I know I said crazy a lot of times. I was a bit nervous.
Zara, you're amazing. You're amazing. Thank you so much for sharing with everybody. You know, what's so important in all our work is that, you know, seeing the next people come along to pick up the baton and do the work, and that's you. So thank you so much, Zara.